Welcome to the solution for the Hanayama Equa Puzzle. So first off, this puzzle was one of the most frustrating Hanayama puzzles I've had. It's very difficult. It took me quite a bit of time until I realized something, and I think I actually had to have someone point it out to me. These bars on the outer piece here are different widths. And I had never really considered that. So a good thing to do is to get some kind of measuring device or measuring tool. And I measured the width of that and then started checking it on each of the other edges. And it won't go down on any of those other edges. There's one of these that is thinner than all the rest of them. And you need to use that one or you're not going to be able to solve it. So again, right there, that's the one that's thinner than the rest. The other ones are all kind of too wide for that. And some of them, you can kind of tell, look significantly wider. So now that we know this is the thinnest rail here, let's look at the pieces on the inside, the moving pieces. There's two pieces that are shaped kind of like letter C's that kind of close in on each other. One has a stamp, Equa Hanayama, on it, and the other one is unmarked. And what you're trying to do is to get the one that's stamped with Hanayama Equa. You want to get the opening of that edge, and see how that's this piece here. It's solid on this side, and it opens on this side. See that right there? So we want to get that opening up to this thin piece. So to rotate this around inside, rotate the sphere inside this cage almost here, we have to basically avoid these little bumps at either end. And I'll show you how to do that. So we want to rotate this so that that knob goes past there, and this one here can then come up. So the way that we do that is you'll line up the openings here. See how that would be an opening across there. Line that up with one of the bars, and on the opposite side line this one up with a bar going in the direction of that opening. You see that we have it lined up now. And when you have it lined up like that, you can shift it down and then move that. Again, we're just focused on the little knob right there. Notice how we moved it from this side over to this side. So I would encourage you to practice that a little bit. Practice moving those around. Let's see what I've got here. I've got the Hanayama Equa. It's right there. The opening is up here. That's not quite where I want it to be. I don't think. This is not the thinnest one. I believe this one's the thinnest one. So I have to do this again. That'll be good practice. So I need to move this one past there. So I'm going to line up the other end right on the opening. This one on the opening, and then I'm going to slide it underneath just like that. Now I have, again, the opening for the one that's stamped Hanayama Equa up against this rail right there. This kind of the thin ridge for the of the cage. Actually, that's not even the right one. It's this one. That's the thinnest one. So we have to do it again. That's fine. This is good practice. So I line it up on both ends. Slide that down and under. And then it'll go over to there. All right. So there it is, lined up now on the thinnest rung, and that's the one that's stamped Hanayama Equa. There's the opening of that piece right on there. So that's the first step. I'm going to back it up a bit. Now to solve this, the first part is I want the words that are stamped into it to be facing towards the center. And then I'm going to take this piece and slide it up onto that thin ring. So the Hanayama Equa one that's stamped has the words facing towards the center here, and they are going onto that thin rail, just like that. The next step is that I'm going to try to rotate this other one, the other piece, so that we have both openings up here, here and here. So I have to rotate this a little bit, and it'll come around. And while you're rotating this, it'll get caught on some of these edges. So it's helpful to move this one back and forth. You shouldn't need to force any of these movements. You don't need to force them or anything like that. They'll just go right into there, just like this. So you see that the opening from the second piece is going to go onto there. That's the first step. Now we're not going to leave it there for very long. In fact, we are going to take it off of there and move it onto this one. The reason we had to move it onto here was to basically get it to turn to the right orientation. Now we're going to take it off of there and try and put it onto this rail. And you'll notice at first that the angles don't match up. So what you need to do is turn this one so that that cut right there lines up with the angle of that. So you can see it's right there. And when you do that, it gives you enough space to fit that piece, the unmarked piece, onto that rail. And you might need to slide this up and down a little bit into here. But with it in that, turn that direction, you'll be able to get that on there. It's giving me a little bit of trouble. You can see the trouble is happening right there with that piece not quite fitting. Again, you shouldn't need to force this at all. It will fall right into place when it gets to the right, just the right angle, and there it is right there. Boom. So you saw that? So gently going back and forth on there is perfect. Now what we can do is we can rotate the equa piece. So to rotate it around, you'll notice that it gets stuck rotating it here. So the best way to do that is to push it over the center piece and then rotate it around. You want to rotate it so that the closed end is up, the open end is now down. The next step is that I am going to actually take this off. So you can see the opening for the equa. I'm going to try and take that off of this thin rail here. And that can be a little bit tricky. Try and turn this so that you can see. It tends to get a little bit stuck, but what you can do, again, try twisting it back and forth. Try moving this piece as well. And when you do that, it might take a little bit of jiggling or a little bit of work to get it, but again, you shouldn't need to force it. This will come right off perfectly. Of course, I'm making a video, so now it's much harder than when I actually just take it apart. Okay, I don't know if you saw that, but eventually this little ledge kind of got out of the way, and we were able to slide that piece off. So back to this orientation where you can see the equa Hanayama stamp right there. I'm now going to spin around the unmarked piece so that the opening is right there, and that'll come right apart. I still have to get these two pieces off, and it seems like it might be a little harder than it's a bit of a pain, honestly, but you do that and then you spin it around and it'll come apart. And that's how you take apart the Equa puzzle. I'm going to now put together the Hanayama Equa puzzle. This might be the hardest part of the puzzle, so stick around. Also, if you enjoyed this puzzle solution, you can subscribe to this channel. We have weekly puzzle solutions, and also in the video description I have links where you can purchase the puzzles that help. And if you use those links, it helps support my future videos. So really appreciate that. Let's go ahead and take a look at this puzzle, putting it back together. So I've got my Hanayama Equa piece right here, and this other piece. I'm going to slide them together into the sphere that it will be when we put it back inside the frame. I have my pieces like that. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to take them apart, but sort of keep them in the same order so that they could just slide back together just like that. Okay. So now what I'm going to do is look at my frame. I know this is the thinnest rail right here, so that's the one the Hanayama Equa piece is going to go on, and I'm going to start by putting the unmarked piece over there. When I put it over this, it matters which order I put it in. What you want to do is twist it so that the words from the Hanayama are facing towards the center of there. Okay, so I'm going to put it on like this. And then I'm going to twist this one around. So now, when I put the Hanayama piece on this thinner piece, notice how, again, the stamped words are going towards the center. That's important. So I'm going to kind of bring it up here. I found that that's the easiest way to slide it onto there. You'll notice that now the Equa piece, I don't know if you can see that. What's the best way to show that? The Equa piece here is on that that thin rail there. So now I need to rotate the Equa piece around. I'm going to do that by pushing it over the center, rotate it around. This piece you might need to move up and down just to help you be able to rotate the Equa piece. And now what I want to do, and this part here is the part that always kind of is frustrating for me, is trying to get this opening to go back over top of that thin rail. And it doesn't seem to work very easily. And you have to kind of work with, oh wait, no, it's not time for that yet. Actually, yeah, it is. Yeah, that's right. Okay. Oof. Keep my brain in check here. So I go down to this, down to here, where the cutoff piece underneath there is lined up. And then I slide this one down, and that should make it so that I can slide that onto there. Perfect. Now this next section is very important. I need to put the unmarked piece back up onto this bar here. And while I'm doing that, the reason I'm doing that, I should say, is to get, if you just go up and down kind of here, it's not going to be helpful unless we get that little knob on this one has to come over this piece. So we push it up onto that rail, and then we twist it down a little bit. So that comes out to here. And then we're going to slide that one off of the ring. Now we have the Hanayama Equa piece on this rail. We have this one with the knob inside this section. We're going to rotate that knob around like this so that it lines up with the opening of the Hanayama Equa, and then we can slide those pieces back together again, just like that. And that is how we put the Hanayama Equa puzzle back together again. Hope that video was helpful for you. Have a wonderful day.